Hi, everybody. It's Jax James, your favorite normal state policy manager. I'm your favorite because I'm the only one. That's okay. I love y'all anyways. Happy to be with y'all on this Friday. We've got some really great updates today, not only from state policy, but also we've got Morgan Fox here today to talk about federal updates with us. And so I'm really excited to have Morgan with us. Before we turn it over to Morgan, just to let everybody know, in the description of this live stream below, you'll find a blog link for today's state policy update. You'll also find our Take Action link, and that's where you're going to find all of the federal actions that Morgan is going to be talking about, as well as our state actions. And then there's information about becoming a member, making a donation, finding the chapter near you. So some really important links for you to tune into there. Now, I know that every time I come on Friday, people are like, what's up with this federal thing? What's up with that federal thing? And so really happy today to be able to bring Morgan in for a little update with you guys. So let me add Morgan to the stream. Hey, Morgan.
Hey, Jax.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, awesome. Well, I know that you are a very busy human up in DC, and so I don't want to take too much of your time, but let me go ahead and turn it over to you for an update for all of our NORML followers today.
Well, thank you very much, Jax. And I think the biggest news of the week is that Senator Schumer recently announced that he was not going to be introducing the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act in April, as he had previously pledged, largely because he's getting a lot of feedback from Senate committee heads. This is certainly disappointing, but at the same time is potentially a good thing, because it means that the bill, when it is finally introduced, will have fewer hurdles to jump over in terms of hearings and potential objections, even from among the Democratic Party. How the Republicans feel about it once they see it is still yet to be determined, but that's something I'm working very hard on finding out in the next couple of weeks. And I will be sure to report back to everybody on anything that I learn in that regard. But on the plus side, Senator Schumer has committed to introducing this bill before the August recess. So we have a lot of time to really pressure members of Congress to educate them about the need to deschedule cannabis at the federal level and allow states to determine their own policies, as well as to establish a regulatory structure that can help provide guidance to those states. So it does open us up a window for providing good and modern information to lawmakers that, quite frankly, some of them are still very stuck in the reefer madness mentality. That basically means that we have a couple of things that we're focusing on in the short term. The first being our efforts to keep the safe banking legislation in the America Competes Act. This is a huge bill that is designed primarily to support American businesses and competitiveness around the globe. And Representative Perlmutter was able to get this introduced and approved in the House version, but unfortunately the Senate did not approve it in their version of the bill. So now it's in conference committee. This means that we need to put as much pressure on the conferees as possible over the coming weeks and months in order to get them to maintain this language in the final bill that they end up approving. You can do that by going to our Take Action page. And I am sure that I'm going to be sending all of you emails who happen to live in states where your senators are members of the conference committee. So please, if you get one of those emails, give their office a call, leave a message, just give them a short spiel, send them an email, anything that we can do to help build pressure to keep this language in the America Competes Act, the better. On the research side, right around the time that the MORE Act was approved by the House a couple of weeks ago, the Senate unanimously approved a research bill that would ease some of the barriers for being able to study cannabis at the federal level, or at least with federal approval. This bill is amazing in that it got unanimous approval. Unfortunately, it's not quite as strong as the one that the House passed about a week later that would create a direct pathway to researchers to be able to use cannabis that's available in commercial regulated markets in legal states for research, as opposed to having to go through the DEA. Now, hopefully the DEA will be approving a lot more production licenses in the near future for research, but they've been kind of slow poking it over the last few years. So I don't have a lot of faith in that happening, which is why once we determine who the conferees are going to be for reconciling the state or the Senate and the House versions of the research bills, we're going to need to put some pressure on them as well to make sure that there are carve-outs to allow scientists to be able to look at the products that you and I can buy in legal states. I will have much more information for you, hopefully next week when I sub in for Jax on this regular update.
Awesome. And I really appreciate that, Morgan. So everybody who's watching, I will not be here next Friday. Instead, it will be Morgan, and Morgan will be giving a more detailed update, and we'll be able to take all of your questions then. I know that he's got lots of appointments today, so I do appreciate you joining me again today, Morgan. Your features here are really popular, and I'm sure next week you will be inundated with lots of questions pertaining to the status of federal movement. Anything you want to, yeah, anything you want to wrap up with here before you head out for your day?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, but hope everybody has a great weekend, and get ready to hit the ground running next week for getting safe continued in the America Competes Act. We really need everybody's help to pressure their lawmakers.
Yeah, when you were talking about prohibitionists, I was like, that Texas, we have some of those here. So
you do indeed.
We do. I'm sorry. I would like to apologize for Texas on behalf of Texans.
Well, some of them are on the conference committee, so I will be reaching out to all of you Texans to make sure that you blow the doors off in terms of commenting on and contacting your lawmakers, in particular your senators that are on that committee, so that they understand how popular this reform is. And something that is not only not going to get them unelected, but something that will significantly help their chances of reelection down the road.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Morgan. And I look forward to watching later on demand your update from next week. So everybody, thanks, Morgan, for joining us. And we're going to pivot over to our state update. See you later, Morgan. All right, friends, let us move over to state policy. There is a lot of things moving across the nation. Now, as usual, I love it when you guys drop your state in the comments. So A, I know where you're watching from, and B, I can check up and see if there's any actions moving in your state. So let's go ahead and get kicking. I alternate from A to Z and Z to A, so it's not always the same people at the top or the bottom. And today we're doing Z from Z to A. So we'll start with Vermont. In Vermont, the current law provides a THC cap of 30% for cannabis flower and 60% for solid concentrates. These caps are arbitrary and not in the best interest of consumers, especially medical patients who deserve the legal option to access varying strains of cannabis in varying potencies. So legislation H548 removes solid concentrate cannabis products over 60% or the restriction of 60% THC and the oil cannabis products, with some exceptions, from the prohibited products list. This bill would also exempt solid concentrates, oils, and tinctures from the 50 milligram THC limit per package. So this basically expands consumer access to regulated cannabis products. This bill has passed both the House and the Senate, but in differing versions. So currently the House is considering the Senate amendments. So make sure that you click on our action link there to let your legislators know how you stand on this important effort in Vermont. So Virginia is going through their special veto days, I think is what they're called. But in Virginia, members of the Senate rejected Governor Youngkin's proposed amendment to SB 591. The governor's amendment sought to recriminalize activities involving the possession of more than 2 ounces of cannabis. Legislators voted to re-refer SB 591 to the Senate Rehabilitation and Social Services Committee. With the 2022 legislative session having already ended, this vote effectively ends any further discussion on this legislation for the year. The Senate bill sought to impose new regulations regarding commercial sales of products containing synthetically derived THC and other novel cannabinoids as well. As you guys know, on Fridays, JM of Virginia NORML does their live stream, but I also wanted to share with you a quote that they put out regarding this. JM says, "The good news is that Governor Youngkin's effort to recriminalize personal possession failed. The bad news is lawmakers' inaction today allows for products containing unregulated and potentially unsafe synthetically derived THC products to continue to proliferate in Virginia." We do have a blog post there that you can link to, or click on and read a little bit more about what is going on in Virginia. And then let's talk about Tennessee. So Tennessee law allows for the use of cannabis extracts that are high in CBD and low in THC in instances where a physician has recommended such treatment to a patient that has a state qualifying condition. And so HB 1747 and its companion legislation, SB 1847, would add quadriplegia as a qualifying medical condition so that people can lawfully possess the cannabis oil in Tennessee. The update here is that the House and the Senate have passed 1747, and it now heads to the governor's desk. So if you live in Tennessee, please make sure that you click our action alert link there to let your governor know that you support this legislation and encourage them to sign it. Now, in Nebraska, an update here. So multiple bills addressing medical cannabis, decriminalization, and legalization have all been indefinitely postponed. There are still some months left in the Nebraska legislature timeline. It is unsure, or I am unsure of if these will be rescheduled or not, but it could be likely that this means that these bills are dead and no longer moving. All right, let's talk about New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, Senate lawmakers rejected a pair of House-backed bills that sought to legalize marijuana possession and sales. Senators voted 15-9 to defeat House Bill 629, which would have permitted adults to legally possess up to 3/4 of an ounce of marijuana, 5 grams of hashish, and to grow up to 6 plants of marijuana. 6 marijuana plants. Let's say that right. A separate bill which sought to allow the retail sales of cannabis products via state-owned stores was also defeated. This is extremely unfortunate, especially since statewide polling shows that 68% of New Hampshire adults support legalizing the possession of small amounts of marijuana for recreational use. And of course, New Hampshire is almost completely surrounded by legalization. So, it is unfortunate for our friends in New Hampshire that the update is not that you can take more action, but rather that these bills are dead. Sorry. Let's talk about New York. Legislation in New York, Senate Bill 8837, would redefine how medical marijuana is classified so that it would qualify for insurance coverage. This, of course, is extremely important for patients who perhaps do not have the financial means to obtain cannabis at its full price. So if you live in New York, we definitely encourage you to send a message to your lawmakers in support of this effort. Now, in Oklahoma, there is a bit of legislation that we are opposing. And in Oklahoma, current state law regarding medical marijuana was established via voter approval of the state question number 788 back in 2018. And now Oklahoma has one of the most robust medical cannabis access programs in the nation. However, House Bill 3208 seeks to impose a moratorium on processing and issuing new medical marijuana licenses. If passed, the bill would allow for the moratorium to remain in effect until the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. Ooh, that was a hard one to say. Let's try that again. If passed, the bill would allow the moratorium to remain in effect for however long that the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority deems necessary. So, of course, we encourage you to click on that link and oppose this effort in Oklahoma to put a moratorium on licensing for medical marijuana businesses. There has been movement in Louisiana, quite a lot of bills, and one of which was House Bill 774, which would seek to have those with past marijuana convictions expunge and waive the processing fees. The bill was scheduled to be heard this week by the House Criminal Justice Committee, but it was postponed. We do anticipate that that bill, in conjunction with several other bills, will have more hearings in the upcoming weeks. So make sure that you click on our action link there to send a message to your lawmakers in support of this effort. All right, let's talk about Kentucky. Y'all in Kentucky, I've been watching y'all. And there's been some crazy stuff happening in both Kentucky and in Kansas, which I'm going to speak about both. But in Kentucky, House Bill 604 establishes the Kentucky Center for Cannabis Research at the University of Kentucky. The stated purpose of the center is to advance the study of the use of cannabis and cannabis derivatives for the treatment of certain medical conditions and diseases. Now, the update here is that Governor Beshear used their line item veto authority to broaden the center's work and allow for more leeway in picking of an oversight board. The Democratic governor's line item veto will stand since the Republican-dominated legislature does not reconvene until January of 2023 for its next regular session. According to media reports, the governor says he sees value in the Cannabis Center's formation, but added that some lawmakers used it as a tactic to successfully block a bill that would have made medical marijuana legal. Beshear says he won't wait for the center to do cannabis studies before deciding whether to take action. And of course, we don't believe that research should inhibit access. Cannabis has tens of thousands of research studies available on PubMed. Research into the continued medical use, of course, is important, but should never prevent people from gaining access to medical cannabis. Now let's talk about Kansas. So legislation is pending to allow medical cannabis access to authorized patients. Key lawmakers from both chambers have been appointed to a conference committee, and they have provided a framework for this program, which they hope to advance by amending language of an unrelated bill. And that unrelated bill is SB 12. So in order to keep the work on medical cannabis alive, legislators are becoming creative. And so if you want to support this effort and you live in Kansas, I encourage you to participate in our action alert link there. All right. So let's talk about the last two here, Colorado and California. Senate Bill 99 in Colorado streamlines the existing automatic record sealing process for those who have marijuana convictions and extends the record sealing process to include all offenses, including civil infractions. If passed, this bill would provide employment and tenant protections for those with these sealed criminal records. The update here is that SB 99 has passed from the Senate and heads to the House. The House Judiciary also passed the SB 99 and has now referred it to the House Appropriations Committee. So it does continue with the committee process. Now in California, two bits of legislation are moving. AB 2188, which seeks to protect employment rights of cannabis consumers, cleared its second hurdle as it passed the Assembly Judiciary Committee. It now heads to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Additionally, AB 2595 seeks to protect parental rights of cannabis consumers, and it also passed its committee hearings. California NORML also wants us to let you know that they will be holding a citizen lobby day on May 10th in Sacramento, where they will be lobbying for these bills and other bills as well. So that is what I officially have for the update today. So here I come back to the comments, friends, to see where you at, what you got going on in your state. All right, so coming back to the comments. Oh, there's a lot of comments already. All right, Heather was asking about Kentucky, which I did touch on. Washington, let's see what we've got moving in Washington. Let me come over to my handy dandy spreadsheet extraordinaire. The Washington, okay, so before I get too deep into talking about other states, I want to explain that not every state is currently in a legislative cycle. For example, the state that I'm in, Texas, Ours is every 2 years. So our cycle is not until January of 2023. Some states have gone through their legislative cycle already and have closed for the session. The term is called sine die. It's the last day of the session. And others are still moving forward with legislation. So it can vary depending on your state. But in Washington, sine die has already occurred. And so there are no current actions for those in Washington state right now. All right. Louisiana. Yes, we talked about Louisiana. There is some process being made there. And I do want to let everyone know, if you go to norml.org/act, you can hover over your state and it will show you any active bills in your state and let you know what you can, what actions you can take on those. So if I don't get to your state today and you think that there might be some legislation going on, I encourage you to go there, or in the states where perhaps I just mentioned one of several bills and you want to take action on all of them, of course, you can do that as well through norml.org/act. All right, Kentucky, we talked about y'all, Kentucky. Now we're talking about Minnesota. Someone has a question about Minnesota. Let me come back over to the spreadsheet. So it looks like Minnesota is still in session until the 23rd of May. And there are bills regarding medical cannabis, decriminalization, legalization, and probation changes. So I encourage you to go to norml.org/act, hover over Minnesota, and you can participate in those action alerts there. Rick is asking about Virginia, which I touched on. So Rick, I encourage you to go to the blog and click that link so you can read more about what just happened with the legislation in Virginia. All right, just continuing to click on here. I see some people thanking Morgan for his update. Yes, thank you, Morgan. And of course, when you go to norml.org/act, the top actions above the dynamic map are all of our federal actions. So anyone here today, whether you are in session or not, there are federal actions that you can participate in. See some people from California. Make sure you participate in that lobby day on May 10th. There is a link to information about it in the blog for today. So someone was asking about state chapters of NORML. So you'll see in the description of this video that one of the links is find a chapter near you. There might already be a chapter in your state. We are in most states, but there are a handful that do not yet have chapters. So if you are in one of those states and you are interested in starting a chapter, make sure that you reach out to JM and try to get that process started. All right, a question about Arkansas. Let me double check. I want to say that Arkansas has adjourned for the year. No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. You have 2 or 3 more weeks. No, wait. I was looking at Alaska, not Arkansas. Sorry, guys. Arkansas, the end of session was back in mid-March. So there is no current moving legislation in Arkansas. Same with Florida, which I see below. Florida is not currently in a legislative cycle. Now, for some of these states, there are petition initiatives that are underway. I did put a blog out about a week or 2 ago, giving an update on where those petition efforts, petition or ballot initiative efforts stand. So you can take a look there. And of course, we'll keep you updated as things continue to advance. South Carolina is still working on their medical bill. There is an action there that you can participate in. So I definitely encourage you to take a look there. I'm going to give one more look over and see. Okay, I think I have hit all the states. Now, I did want to give a quick Texas update. It's not about the legislature, but in Texas right now, the Department of Public Safety is taking comments regarding the Texas Compassionate Use Program. You can go to texasnormal.org and you will see our blog post on how you can submit comments regarding the teacup system. And so please, I encourage any patients or doctors or caregivers to make sure that they participate in that action. And then also I wanted to let anyone who is living in Austin, Texas know that there is a ballot initiative a proposition on the May ballot is the proper way to say it, that would eliminate the prosecution and arrest of low-level marijuana possession. So if you live in Austin, which I do, I encourage you to get out and vote early. In fact, I have a Vote Yay for Prop A sign in my yard. So very happy about that. There is an effort underway in Denton that is similar, that they believe they have collected the amount of signatures needed. And there are some efforts going on in other cities as well. So Texas NORML will continue to keep you updated on those and let you know when you need to take action. And just so you know, if you do live in Texas, next Wednesday, we will be hosting our virtual May meeting, and we will have Mike Siegel from Ground Game Texas to talk to us about the status of the Austin initiative and the other initiatives across the state. All right, checking for a few more comments. If I don't see any more, I might just say happy Friday, friends. All right, I think I got it all. All right, so I would encourage you guys to click all of the links in the description of this video. The first one will take you to any and all action alerts and blogs related to the update today. You'll also find a link on taking action in general. So in case your state isn't mentioned, you can still participate in the federal action alerts at the top of the ACT page. And you can also participate in any of the bills that are going on in your state by hovering over your state in that dynamic map. Also, you'll find ways to become a member of NORML and to make donations to NORML to support our mission. We are completely a consumer-based advocacy organization, and we do not take money from MSOs and large businesses. All of our funding comes from consumers and patients like you who are watching today. So I definitely encourage you to support our mission. And then lastly, I encourage you to look up the chapter nearest you. If you're not engaged with them, please make sure that you reach out. And if there's not a chapter in those rare few states where we don't have a chapter, I encourage you to find out how to start one near you. And on that note, I will thank you guys for all spending we'll call this your Friday lunch with me. And just a reminder that next Friday, I will not be here. Instead, it will be Morgan giving an in-detail federal update and answering all of your questions. So thank you so much for everybody who has tuned in today and everybody who is going to participate in your actions in your state or federally today. Those are extremely important and help drive change in our country and in your state. So on that note, friends, I hope you have a lovely Friday and an amazing weekend. Take care.